Alright, I had another request to do a Pelican point, and I hope it's not a Pelican lake. I hope I got that right. Pelican point looks kind of like a stubby, fat Clovis. So, here we go, Pelican. Now this is a piece of, what do they call it? Owl Creek Gray from my friend Gary. Okay, so it's pretty easy to nap in. This is a raw piece of that Owl Creek Gray. I had a bunch of it, so I've been napping a bunch here. Pretty easy stuff as far as flakeability. Okay, so I'm just going to go through and get rid of the square edges. If this works out, it will be available in the auction, along with the Lake Mojave point. These aren't very big, so I'm not too worried about losing a lot of mass here. But I do have to be careful. Since this is easy to flake, it can also break in half easily. I gotta be careful because I don't want to overshoot it right now. It's already a little too narrow, I think. It's gonna be close. Alright. Switch to indirect percussion. And what do we talk about? Let's see. While I'm doing this, I can talk about something else. I got a couple more points had on request. I'm going to postpone the glass napping until I can do it outside. Right now it's still too cool, still too cold to nap outside comfortably. And I don't want to nap glass inside the van, that's for sure. Those pieces fly so fast and so far that I end up with glass in the front seat, and I'm in the back right now. Okay, so yeah, I don't want to be vacuuming up a bunch of glass. I find flakes from some of these stones up near the front of the van, but very few. Okay, so I'm not too worried about napping this type of stone in the van. I have some other points I wanted to do. I'm trying to think of what they are. Let's see. Some requests other than the glass ones. Or the obsidian. I'll think of it in a minute here. I'm going to focus on thinning this right now. Some of these strikes are pretty critical. Now, which is the tip and which is the base? Could go for the obvious. But since the stem is narrow and the blade is wide, I might just make this the base and this the tip. If I can get rid of that lumpy spot easily. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. Got it in my notes. I did write the notes down. I got a Cody knife. I'm going to do Hell Gap. I put Pelican Lake, but I think that's wrong. I think it's just the Pelican point. Lake Mojave and hunting points with low notches. Okay, those are the ones I've got set up to do on video in my notes. And I'm doing the hunting points just so I can show you what they look like and what the dimensions are for 150 grains. It's a pretty big point. You have to start out with a pretty big preform. Normally, when I make a hunting point, it's about 70 grains or less. 40 to 70 grains. Now, I don't personally hunt with stone points. Although now I can, if I want to. I can pretty much travel anywhere. Get a non-resident hunting license in the state that allows stone points. And if I do that, I will be hunting with stone points that are around 40 grains. Now, someone also asked me to go over what I know, everything I know about hunting with stone points. The first thing you need to do is check your local laws, your state laws governing the use of broadheads for hunting during archery season. The states are different. Not all states allow stone. I think the last time I checked, most states did not allow stone. But I could be wrong. I mean, laws are changing quickly. Now this, a lot of times, does not apply to your own land. I don't think. But again, just check with your local Fish and Game. That's all I can tell you. Because if I were to tell you, oh yeah, you can hunt with stone, no problem. And you go out and get fined, or someone calls the warden on you, turns you in, and you're sitting there with a quiver full of stone points. I think you can get fined for each one. Who knows? Or he can decide he's going to fine you for every illegal broadhead you have. That wouldn't be any fun. So, check first locally. Call them up if you can't find it on their website. Alright. That's what I know. I know that you're supposed to call the local game warden or whatever. That's the best advice. Alrighty. Can you hunt with that ladle darts? You can in some states, but as far as I know, most states do not allow hunting with ladle darts. It's considered a spear, and spears are not legal to hunt with in many states. right? I don't think it's considered a large arrow in most states. It's considered a spear. I called one time to ask about shooting game birds, and which birds were game birds and which birds were invasive species. What can I shoot invasive species with? Can I shoot with anything? Can I go after starlings with a slingshot or with a little crossbow? Or yeah, you can go after starlings pretty much with anything. Even at lattle darts, little bitty starlings. Sometimes you can go after squirrels with anything, but I would check. All right, so a pelican point is wide at the top, kind of stubby, and Clovisy, although it's what they call a transitional paleo, which is not as old as Clovis. It's a younger point. Not contemporary with Clovis, and a lot of times not fluted, although it does look like it has big, bold thinning flakes on the stem, which it does. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some big, bold, thinning flakes on the stem. Okay. If I don't mess it up. Alrighty. It doesn't want to cooperate. Maybe the other direction? No, still not. Alrighty. Too many hits and you get incipient cracks. I gotta watch those hits, make sure I don't hit too many times. I want some thinning flakes. I don't want flutes. But I had to hit pretty hard to get one to release, and then it goes deep. Should I be setting them up perfectly? Yeah, I should be. I found that most of my viewers don't care. So, I'm not going to do this in a perfect way. Many of you guys are just having me in the background, talking away, chipping away, and falling asleep. All right. So, nice thinning flakes. Not really fluting. Yeah. Okay. Kind of like a Dalton, right? Kind of a Dalton mindset. Alright, so there's the preform. I could pressure flake it from here and get pretty darn close to what I need just from pressure flaking. These are flaked randomly as far as I remember. I look on projectilepoints.net. That's the easiest site for me to look at. Projectilepoints.net gives you the stats in easy to read format. and dimensions in millimeters, which is perfectly fine with me. Because at least they give you dimensions. They even give you averages, which is awesome. And right now I'm thinning with large bold flakes if I can. A little bit too bold on that side, but oh well. For those of you who are new, you'll hear me say, oh well, quite a lot. Good enough. You'll hear me say good enough. So this is pretty straightforward stuff as far as my napping goes. Opportunistic. I like opportunistic random flaking. At any point that exhibits that characteristic is automatically one of my favorites. Although I've only made a few of these, right? I think I've made, well, no, it's something similar. I made something similar to this from South America on a different video. I cannot remember what they're called. Somebody can help me out there. But those are contemporary with Clovis, the ones from South America that look like this. They are paleo. This one is not paleo. It's transitional paleo and early archaic. It was probably around longer than Clovis as far as the persistence of this type of style of point. I think it's still accurate to say that Clovis was very short-lived in terms of time in existence. It wasn't in existence for thousands of years like something like a Pedernales point, or maybe even a Dalton. Those two are around a lot longer than Clovis as far as time span. Alright, so the base is thin. I still have to do one more flake on the stem here. I'll do that in a minute. Let me touch up this space here. Okay, so these were found in far east Texas, I think Louisiana, and all along the lower Mississippi River area. But you can find out on projectilepoints.net. I suppose I'm endorsing them, right? By mentioning them here on this channel. They are putting a lot of work into that site. It's well worth the effort to check it out. Don't just take my word for it. Okay. There we go. I got a thinning flake there. Okay. So now it's just a matter of pressure flaking it. And if I see an opportunity to take another flake to thin it down, I will. With indirect percussion, of course. Now I'm not sure if the person that asked me to do the Pelican was having trouble with the shape or just a general challenge. This is raw stone, just in case you're wondering. I am trying to use raw stone for you guys in the videos, although for my own stuff and if I want to enjoy the Flintknapping experience, I usually use heat treat when I'm napping off camera. It's like 99% heat treat stuff, unless I'm practicing to get good at a certain type of raw stone. And yeah, you can knap a certain type of raw stone and get good at it, as long as it's consistent enough. And sometimes you can get lucky and get a consistent, fairly consistent batch. Does heat treat make the stone more consistent? Yes, it can. And in my experience, I've had good success with heat treating, making stones more consistent, so that it naps the same all over the place on the spall or the flake. And if not, at least it's still easier to nap every area instead of having to suffer through some areas really badly if it's still raw. Like those pockets of concrete, they are merciless on raw stone. Luckily, this type of stone doesn't have those pockets of concrete, but there are some stones that have really serious concrete in them. This one had a, let's see, was it this one? This one here, I was napping this earlier. This had a serious pocket of concrete. This is the remnants of it, but it was a big blob right here on top. You can kind of see where it's discolored. Well, the concrete was sitting right there. This is the Cortex side. On this side, nice material, still some Cortex there, but on this side toward the center of the stone, very concretey. I think I'm offering this one in the auction just as is. We'll see. Anyway, heat treating can soften up, so to speak, those areas of concrete and make it easier to nap if it has one of those in it. Yep, heat treating will make concrete more nappable, what we call concrete in the napping business. It's actually a variation in the crystalline structure within the stone. Due to some reasons, I don't know what they is. I don't know what they are. I don't know what those conditions are that lead to pockets of nasty material. I'm sure a geologist can fill us in, probably. Not that many of the geologists are watching my channel. It's not very common to have a geologist flint napper, although they think it's kind of cool. Every geologist that I've talked to about flint napping, if they're not into it, they think it's really cool. Okay, so who knows? Could be watching the channel just for entertainment. Entertainment purposes. Because I'm hilarious. Anyway. Yeah, it would be hilarious if you actually got good at this. Yeah. I keep telling you guys, I'm intentionally not good at this. I really don't spend all that much time trying to refine this talent. Keep telling you. It should be fun, you know. Take it too seriously, I start getting gray hairs and losing sleep. Too late, already got those. And been there, done that. Me and sleep don't get along very well. So I listen to audiobooks during the day and all night. That's right. I can't live without audiobooks these days. If I let myself spend money I'll listen to 100 audiobooks a year, but I've cut back. So I'm not gonna buy that many. 100 audiobooks, and they're averaging $11 or $12 each. It's $1,200 a year. I don't think so. Although I did it for a whole year. I'd finish one, I'd buy another. Finish one, buy another. Just like clockwork. Boom, boom, boom. One a week at least. Bunch of philosophy. Well, lately I've been doing statistics. It doesn't pay to be ignorant about statistics. I'm finding out that people don't understand statistics. Not even statisticians take their own advice. It's amazing. Once you get into these things, you find out. Once you start getting into philosophy, you find out philosophers are full of crap. Once you start getting into statistics, you find out statisticians are full of crap. I suppose once you get into Flintknapping, you figure out that Flintknappers are full of crap. Okay, I'm telling you right now, it's a thing. Not all Flintknappers are on the level. All right. Oops. Who is it? Who's not on the level? Which ones? Tell us. I'm not going to say nothing. It's just a hobby. We can contribute to archaeological experimentation. Experimental archaeology. We can contribute to it. But as soon as we start saying this is how it was done, you gotta watch out. We don't know how it was done. All we can do is give you the possibilities. I mean, how different can it be back in the day? How different can it be? Well, the actual act of Flintknapping probably isn't much different, other than it was probably a lot of two-person napping episodes where one person would hold the workpiece while the other person works on it. It's so much easier, especially during spalling, for one person to hold the workpiece while the other one spalls flakes off. And then when you get down to the indirect percussion, someone can hold a little indirect percussion flaker and put pressure on it and load it up, or switch it out quickly, have a supply ready to switch out, or give advice, and then one person strikes. So one person will hold the flaker and the other person strikes it. I think a lot of that went on in the past. A lot. Because that's a good way to teach. You get your assistant in on the Flintknapping itself. Did I teach my children that way? No, I didn't actually. I didn't force them to be my assistants. I showed them how to do it by themselves. Like I do it. I use their behind the knee technique. And they got fairly good at it for a little while. But like all children, they lose interest, move on to other things, and say, yeah, that was cool for a little while. But now I'm into playing guitars, video games, social media, etc., etc. All right, so I only got like 1 minute left. I'm just going to trim around the edges and I'm going to call it good and say, Pelican, There it is. So these sides sweep up to about halfway, I would say. So it looks right if it's about halfway. Just trim around the edges to sharpen these up. There's no serrations as far as I can tell on these. It's just sharp, kind of jaggedy. I'm already at 30 minutes. And then you grind the sides of the stem. Right? Grind the sides of the stem. And grind it around just like a Clovis or a Dalton. Grind everything. All the way around. A lot. I'm just barely touching it right now, but you go all the way up the curve on both sides. Heavy grinding, so more than what I'm doing. Make sure you got some thinning flakes in there. Make sure you got some bold flaking. And there you go. Pelican point. Alrighty. Okay.